Have you ever noticed how, as the years go by, people around us seem to slow down? Maybe you've felt it yourself. Your energy isn't what it used to be. Small aches turn into daily discomforts, and you wonder if this is just part of getting older. But here's something they don't tell you. Most of the serious health problems people face after 70 aren't random or inevitable. They come from simple habits, choices, and a few silent dangers we don't always see coming. And that's exactly why we need to talk about this. Because the truth is, 99% of people over 70 die from just 5 major causes. But the good news? You can take steps to avoid them. You don't need extreme changes, expensive treatments, or to spend your days worrying. You just need the right information. Things most doctors won't tell you unless you ask. So in this video, we're going to uncover the 5 biggest threats to your health after 70 and, more importantly, the practical, easy-to-implement ways to protect yourself. And trust me, these aren't things you want to ignore, because avoiding them could mean years of extra life, better energy, and more time to enjoy the people and experiences that truly matter. Let's start with the first major cause, and this one might surprise you: heart disease. Now, I know what you're thinking. That's nothing new. I already know heart disease is a risk. And you're right. But what most people don't realize is that many of the heart attacks and strokes happening after 70 aren't sudden or random. They're decades in the making. And the warning signs are there long before something serious happens. It's not just about cholesterol or high blood pressure. In fact, some people with perfect numbers still have heart attacks. The real issue? Inflammation. That silent, creeping inflammation in your arteries that makes them stiff and clogged over time. And what's one of the biggest contributors to that? Hidden sugar in foods you don't even think about. See, by 70, many of us have spent a lifetime eating things like white bread, processed cereals, fruit juices, and so-called low-fat foods. These seem harmless, but they send your blood sugar on a roller coaster. Over time, that leads to tiny, microscopic damage inside your arteries. Your body tries to patch it up by sending cholesterol to repair the damage. But if this cycle keeps repeating, you end up with blocked arteries and a ticking time bomb in your chest. So what's the fix? Simple. Start swapping. Instead of white bread, go for whole grains or sprouted grain bread. Instead of sugary breakfast cereals, try oats with nuts and cinnamon. Instead of orange juice, eat the actual fruit. You'll get fiber that slows sugar absorption and protects your arteries. And here's one golden rule you can start today. Every meal should include protein, fiber, and healthy fats. This keeps your blood sugar steady, reduces inflammation, and takes a huge burden off your heart. And when your heart is happy, it works better, pumps stronger, and lasts longer. Now let's move on to the second major cause, one that people often don't take seriously until it's too late: falls. You might not think of falls as deadly, but here's the shocking reality. 1 in 3 adults over 65 falls each year, and those falls often lead to broken hips, long hospital stays, and complications that can spiral out of control. In fact, studies show that many seniors never fully recover after a fall. Their mobility declines, their confidence drops, and their independence slowly slips away. But the real tragedy? Most falls are completely preventable if you know what to look out for. The biggest hidden risk? Muscle loss. See, after 50, we naturally lose muscle each year. But most people don't notice until it's a real problem. By 70, this can mean weaker legs, poor balance, and slower reflexes, making even a small trip over a rug or a step dangerous. So how do you stop this? First, your legs are your foundation, so keep them strong. You don't need a gym, fancy equipment, or even a lot of time. Try this. Every day, do 10 sit-to-stands from a chair. No hands. This simple move strengthens your thighs and improves balance better than any fancy exercise machine. Second, don't ignore hydration. Dehydration makes dizziness worse, and many seniors don't drink enough water because they don't feel thirsty. A good rule? Start your morning with a full glass of water before coffee or tea. It wakes up your circulation and helps keep you steady on your feet. Third, fix your environment. Look around your home. Are there rugs that could slip? Dim lighting in hallways or bathrooms? Shoes that don't give enough support? These little things might seem minor now, but they add up. A simple nightlight, sturdy shoes, or securing loose rugs could be the difference between a normal day and a life-changing fall. Now, if you're already thinking, "I wish I knew this sooner," don't worry. It's never too late to take action. Because what matters isn't where you are today, it's what you do next. And trust me, we're just getting started. Now that we've talked about the dangers of heart disease and falls, let's get into something that often sneaks up on people without warning. It's one of the most misunderstood causes of declining health after 70, and yet it's also one of the easiest to prevent if you take the right steps now. Respiratory diseases. Most people don't think much about their lungs until something goes wrong. Maybe you feel a little more out of breath going up the stairs, or you've developed a nagging cough that doesn't seem to go away. At first, it's easy to dismiss, "Oh, it's just part of aging," or "I'm just not as active as I used to be." But here's the problem. Once lung function starts to decline, it doesn't stop. Your lungs aren't like your muscles. You can't build them back in the same way. And if they weaken too much, it leaves you vulnerable to serious infections, chronic lung diseases, and even respiratory failure. In fact, pneumonia alone is one of the leading causes of death in seniors. It can seem like a simple cold at first, but for someone over 70, it can turn into something life-threatening shockingly fast. So, how do you keep your lungs strong and healthy? First, breathe deeply on purpose. Most people take shallow breaths without realizing it, especially as they age. Try this. A few times a day, stop and take 5 deep breaths, in through your nose, filling your belly, and out slowly through your mouth. This keeps your lungs flexible and improves oxygen flow to your brain and muscles. Second, get moving, even just a little. Your lungs stay healthy when they're being used. If you're mostly sitting, they're not expanding fully, and that leads to stiffness, mucus buildup, and weaker lung tissue. You don't need to run a marathon, but try to walk a little every day, even if it's just around your home. Third, watch out for hidden air pollution. You might not smoke, but that doesn't mean your lungs are safe. Things like dusty air filters, strong cleaning chemicals, or even scented candles can irritate your lungs over time. Make sure you're getting fresh air daily. And if you use chemical cleaners, switch to natural options like vinegar or baking soda. Your lungs will thank you. Fourth, don't ignore small symptoms. If you've had a cough that won't go away, frequent shortness of breath, or chest tightness, don't brush it off. Many seniors wait too long to get checked, thinking it's just part of aging. But the earlier you catch lung problems, the more you can do to reverse the damage. Let's move on to something that affects millions of people over 70. But hardly anyone talks about it until it's a crisis. Kidney disease. Your kidneys are silent workers. They filter out toxins, balance your fluids, and keep your blood pressure steady. But here's the problem. By the time most people realize their kidneys are in trouble, they've already lost a huge amount of function. And the scary part, you won't feel kidney disease creeping up. There's no pain, no obvious symptoms, until it's too late. That's why kidney disease is one of the top killers of seniors, and yet it's rarely discussed. The number one cause? Too much salt and too little water. Most of us grew up with the idea that food should be salty to taste good. But over time, excess salt makes your kidneys work overtime. They have to strain harder to remove it from your blood, leading to high blood pressure, fluid retention, and eventually kidney failure. And here's where dehydration makes it worse. Many seniors don't drink enough water. Not because they don't want to, but because the sensation of thirst weakens with age. You might not feel thirsty, but your kidneys still need that water to flush out toxins. So what's the fix? First, drink a full glass of water first thing in the morning. It wakes up your kidneys and helps them start the day fresh. Second, don't wait until you're thirsty to drink. Keep a bottle of water near you throughout the day and take small sips regularly. Third, cut back on processed foods. Things like canned soups, deli meats, and even store-bought bread have hidden salt that puts unnecessary strain on your kidneys. Instead, use herbs and spices like garlic, lemon, and basil to add flavor without the damage. Now, before we wrap up this section, let me say this. If you've ever been told that aging is just about accepting your body breaking down, that is simply not true. The biggest difference between people who stay strong and independent at 80 versus those who struggle at 70 isn't luck. It's the small daily choices they make. And we still have one more major cause to go over. This final one is something that doesn't just threaten your body, it threatens your mind, your happiness, and your very identity. We've covered heart disease, falls, lung issues, and kidney disease, 4 of the biggest causes that take people over 70 before their time. But this last one, it's different. It doesn't just impact your body, it affects who you are, your memories, your personality, your independence. Cognitive decline. For many people, this is the most frightening risk of all. The thought of forgetting your loved ones, losing your ability to make decisions, or struggling with simple daily tasks can be more terrifying than any physical illness. And yet, cognitive decline doesn't happen overnight. It starts years before it's obvious, and by the time symptoms appear, much of the damage is already done. The good news? You are not powerless against it. Your brain isn't a muscle, but it works like one. If you stop using it, it weakens. If you challenge it, it grows stronger. The secret to keeping your mind sharp isn't just luck or genetics. It's about daily habits that keep your brain engaged and healthy. The first thing that speeds up memory loss? A passive routine. Think about it. When you were younger, every day was filled with new experiences. You had to solve problems, learn new things, interact with different people. But as we get older, it's easy to fall into autopilot mode, doing the same things, watching the same shows, having the same conversations. And when the brain isn't being challenged, it starts shrinking. So what's the fix? Start learning again. It doesn't have to be anything complicated, just something new. Try learning a few phrases in another language. Pick up a new hobby like drawing or playing a simple musical instrument. Read a book on a topic you've never explored before. The key is to break the routine and give your brain a reason to grow. The second hidden danger? A lack of real social interaction. Now, I'm not talking about just being around people. I'm talking about meaningful conversations. Watching TV or scrolling through social media doesn't count. Your brain thrives on engagement. It needs real, back-and-forth interaction to stay sharp. If you find yourself spending more time alone, make it a priority to reconnect. Call an old friend, join a local group, volunteer, or even start a small weekly gathering with neighbors. It's not just about keeping loneliness away. It's about giving your mind the stimulation it needs to stay active. And the third factor that speeds up mental decline? Poor diet and sleep. Your brain needs fuel to function properly. And if you're eating processed foods filled with sugar and unhealthy fats, it's like putting cheap gas in a high-performance car. The best brain-boosting foods? Healthy fats like nuts, olive oil, and avocados. Omega-3s from fish or flax seeds, which help protect brain cells. Leafy greens, which help clear out toxins from the brain. And don't underestimate sleep. Poor sleep is directly linked to memory loss and confusion. Make sure you're getting deep, quality rest by keeping a consistent bedtime, limiting screen time before bed, and avoiding heavy meals late at night. Now, here's the most important thing to remember. Cognitive decline is not inevitable. So many people assume that memory loss just comes with age, but science has proven that's not true. The brain can create new connections at any age, as long as you give it the right environment. Before we wrap up, let's take a moment to reflect on everything we've covered. 5 major causes take 99% of people over 70 too soon. But now, you know the truth. Heart disease doesn't just happen, it builds over time, and you can stop it by reducing inflammation, eating right, and keeping your circulation strong. Falls are not just accidents. They happen due to weak muscles, poor hydration, and home hazards that can be fixed. Respiratory disease isn't just about smoking, it's about keeping your lungs active, avoiding irritants, and recognizing symptoms early. Kidney disease doesn't start with pain, it starts with too much salt and not enough water. Cognitive decline isn't just fate, your brain stays sharp when you challenge it, engage socially, and nourish it properly. And here's the best part. You don't need to change everything overnight. Even if you start with one small habit today, like drinking an extra glass of water, taking a 10-minute walk, or calling an old friend, you're already moving in the right direction. Because aging isn't about slowing down, it's about choosing how you want to live. If you found this helpful, let me know in the comments. What's one habit you're going to start today? And if you want more practical, life-changing advice, make sure to like this video and subscribe, because I'll be sharing more ways to help you stay strong, independent, and thriving at any age. Here's to living your best life for years to come.